The Her Flag Project was created to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Her flag waves when she threads the words to speak for unwavering justice. It bellows in the winds of change when she inspires masses through her undaunted courage. The stripes upon it cultivate knowledge, creativity, and deep listening. It is a monument. Her flag holds firm on fields, dirt roads, and sidewalks where she plowed her way to freedom, rode horseback to dignify her rights, and marched for equality. It whips through the air, rallying cries of purpose, determination. The pastels stitch hope, and its bold colors shout liberty. It is our history. It was in Missouri that the point of her flag, the suffrage movement, pierced like a quilter's needle when the Women Suffrage Association of Missouri was formed in St. Louis in 1867, the first of its kind in the United States. Coming out of being aides in the Civil War, the women organized on the sole mission to enfranchise women. Her flag unites across the breadth of our nation, amplifying righteous indignation. It resounds through the earth with voices beckoning a call to rise. Voices like Virginia Minor, who claimed the 14th Amendment protected women's right to vote as citizens. Women are citizens of the United States. One of the rights of citizenship is voting. Therefore, women have the right to vote. Her flag envelops a democracy's longing for perpetual, intimate participation. Minor's determination spurred her to cast her vote at the St. Louis courthouse in 1872. She was turned away, but the stalwart suffragist marched forward to the Supreme Court, where her husband, deemed a citizen, filed the lawsuit. The ruling? Denied. The right of suffrage as a national law? Denied. The decision was left to the command of the states. Her flag is a legacy, and the Missourian women suffragists petitioned 18 times for a state constitutional amendment. Her flag was bolstered and held high in picket lines with posters, rallies filled with speeches, motorcades with pins, and musical notes of equity resounding from bands and parades. Her flag was held high when organizations of Black Missouri women, like the Federation of Colored Women, sprung from the courage of their foremothers. You see, Harriet followed the North Star, and Sojourner echoed, "I am women's rights." Cathay Williams enlisted as a Buffalo soldier to get equal pay. When Ida B. Wells refused to go to the smoker car because coloreds were not allowed in first class, and Mary Church Terrell, they both took to the streets in Washington, D.C. with the new founders of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in the Women's Suffrage March of 1913. It was in 1913 that the Missouri Ladies Military Band, led by trap drummer Alma Nash of Maryville, boarded the rail lines. As the train rounded the tracks from Missouri to Washington, D.C., they stopped once to practice their march. The Fearless 23 arrived only a few hours before the beginning of the march on March 3rd, 1913. They were originally placed close to the front, following a group on horseback, and then officers of the National Equal Suffrage Association. But because the streets were too crowded, the parade could not begin. The Missouri Ladies Military Band, blazing brass and pronouncing the drum rhythms in their blue serge uniforms, the only female band, was asked to move to the very front and lead the way. These sheroes played music, stilling the chaos, while raising the bar and forte. By 1916, the Missouri suffragists were ready to make a bold statement without saying a word. At the Democratic National Convention, held at the newly completed Coliseum, the suffragists organized a walkless, talkless event, also known as the Golden Lane Parade. Instead of walking down the street as they had done countless times before, the suffragists, wearing white dresses with yellow votes for women sashes and holding yellow umbrellas high, silently lined both sides of Locust on the first morning of the convention. As the delegates made their way to the Coliseum, an estimated 8,000 women stared them down. Their primary goal was to have a suffrage plank added to the presidential platform, and they succeeded. In 1919, at the final convention of the National American Women's Suffrage Association, the convention was in St. Louis. Carrie Chapman Catt urged the suffragists to raise up a league of voters, sparking the creation of the League of Women Voters. Her flag flew in liberty when on September 14, 1920, Mrs. Ebby Tolbert, an enslaved woman under 5 owners before escaping from Mississippi to Missouri, became the first African-American woman in St. Louis to register to vote. At the age of 113, Tolbert walked down to her polling place in St. Louis, 2nd Precinct, 7th Ward, and entered her name into the list as a registered voter. The following day, an interview with Mrs. Tolbert appeared in the St. Louis Star and Times. Mrs. Tolbert said, "It is going to be a great honor to be permitted to vote." You see, she believed, if women will vote right, they can do much to improve the present laws. The world isn't like it used to be, and it may take the women to make things better. Her flag emboldened a 100th year celebration of the ratification of the 19th Amendment circa 2020. It is a nationwide art and travel project created by Maryland artists. It is an 18 times 26-foot flag with a stripe designed by artists from each of the 36 states that ratified the amendment, Missouri being the 11th. Inspired by hope and Missouri history, illustrator artist Rory created the Missouri stripe, the Golden Lane. At the far left, you will find elders from the Osage and Missouri nations who would lose their rights under European colonization. Sacred Son, Osage, and Sacagawea are also pictured. It is the only stripe honoring First Nation women. Moving right is Kate Richards O'Hare, a working-class labor and prison reform activist imprisoned for anti-war views during World War I. Next, Harriet Robinson Scott and Virginia Minor petitioned for their rights at the old courthouse. On the right, Golden Lane organizer Edna Gillhorn holds the largest yellow umbrella. Finishing the image, the present fight for recognition and voting rights is portrayed, as well as Missouri's current diverse activists still fighting. Show Me Voting Rights is a play on the state motto, the Show Me State. Hidden in the design is the name of the state itself, Missouri. On her flag, Maryland sewed the 11th stripe in its historical 11th place. The celebration was held at the Cole County Historical Society in a room exhibiting gowns of Missouri's first ladies. There, the League of Women Voters, adorned in suffrage attire, proudly told the story of Missouri's women's suffrage ancestral beginnings and legacy. Her flag echoes the sentiment of women warriors on whose shoulders we stand. Her flag is ours to carry.